Hey guys, okay, this is Russell here speaking from the Health Boutique in Uckfield. Oh yes. Okay, while I'm doing this, I'm just putting together a quick video diary almost for you for the session that you would have missed this Friday or even on the Wednesday. And this session was based on carbohydrates. Now obviously in the session on the course I would be talking for a considerable amount of time because that's what I do very well. Well, I'll say so myself. So what I'm going to do is just give you a brief talk about carbohydrates because within your diet, carbs are very, very, very important. Every living cell in your body needs carbohydrates to survive. And the actual biological equation is C6H12O6, that's glucose, plus oxygen equals water, CO2. CO2, what we breathe out, and obviously energy. Now, carbohydrates are one of the major food groups, and carbohydrates provide us with energy. Now, the main sources of carbohydrates are kind of sugary things, starches. You've got breads, you've got sweets, pastas, rices, you know, all the kind of staple parts of a British diet. Now, what I'm going to pose to you is how many carbohydrates or how much carbohydrates do you have in your diet? Do you have too much? Are you perhaps carrying a little bit too much weight around your tummy, and could that be attributed to eating too many carbs? Let me see. Because you see, I've got an interesting stat. Back in 1915, there was a little study done. We're trying to work out how much the average sugar consumption was for a person based in the UK. Can you guess what it is? It was 15 kilos. See, to me, that actually sounds like quite a lot. I mean, that's 15 bags of sugar. That's practically a wall. But do you know what it was in a study in the UK done in 2007? It was 150 kilos. 10 times as much, in a time when we're supposed to be more aware, more knowledgeable, and more understanding about the foods that we eat and what it can do to us. So what is the difference? I'll tell you what the difference is. It's processed foods. And do you know what one of the main ingredients are in processed foods? Sugars. And what are sugars? They're carbohydrates. Okay, another little interesting stat. As you may know, I'm a kind of sports person. And I've always done endurance events, and endurance events, you get told to carbo load. And when I was younger and I first started, I thought, right, carbo loading, I'm going to eat a lorry load of pasta several times a day. But then when I actually started to research and learn more about nutrition and how much I actually needed to do to carbo load, bearing in mind the race I would be doing was roughly 4, 5, 6 hours long. Do you know how many carbohydrates I had to eat per meal? 100 grams. 100 grams. That's the equivalent of about, say, 2 slices of wholemeal bread, or half a cup, no, a whole cup of rice or pasta. Wow. I mean, I was eating way too much. And think about if you're not a sports person, really, you only need to eat about 50 grams or so of carbohydrates. That's really not very much. So anyway, enough about that kind of stuff. What are the types of carbohydrates we have? Just have a little think. That's enough thinking. So, the types of carbohydrates we have are simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are ones that get into our system very, very, very quickly. Bearing in mind, carbohydrates are the quickest source of energy to get into our system anyway. But they come from fruits, simple sugars like sugar or demerara sugar, sugar beets, sweets, bonbons, chocolate, those kind of things. And as I say, they get into our system very, very, very quickly. Now, if that goes into our system quick, what happens? We get a massive, massive spike of insulin. And once that insulin level, the locking hormone that stores the sugar in our system, goes above a certain level, it just gets stored as fat. So really, we don't want lots and lots of simple sugars in our diet. Preferably, what we would have is complex sugars. Sugars that are a lot more complicated because they have a lot more molecules within them. There are lots of little glucose or dextrose, whatever, molecules joined together, and they take a long time to break down. And if they take a long time to break down, it means instead of the insulin going whoosh straight up, it gradually creeps up like that. So really what we want to do to lose weight, to be able to maintain our blood sugar levels and to keep ourselves in an energetic state. Instead of having these spikes of simple sugar up and down and up and down and up and down, what we need to do is have a nice, slow, steady curve. So we need to perhaps cut down the amount of carbohydrates, not cut it out because we're not Atkins, we don't want to die. You want to limit those carbohydrates to either the times when you're busy or just small amounts in every meal. And you want to try and eat them 4, 5, 6 times a day so that you're keeping your blood sugars within a normal parameter. So you're not peaking, troughing, feeling tired, having chocolate, up, down. I know it's an absolute roller coaster of energy, peaks and troughs. So that is pretty much the content of carbohydrates. And now, as most of you I've spoken to about your diets and your nutrition plans, because remember, we're not doing diets here, we're looking at how we can live naturally and normally and try to eat as many whole foods as possible and tweak our diet here and there to make the most of our bodies. So as I have spoken to you, think about what I've just said. Remember, simple carbs, complex carbs. See how you can substitute the food in your diet that we now know have aspects of simple sugars for complex. Maybe take that white rice, change it for brown. Maybe take white pasta, and change it for brown pasta. Maybe not eat quite so many fruits, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at once because they're sugar. So have a little think, have a ponder. Guys, if you've got any questions, do send me an email. My email is helpme@thehealthboutiqueuckfield.com. You can see my blog and you can also see the website at www.thehealthboutiqueuckfield.com. Guys, it's great to see you again. Speak to you soon. Bye.